Good evening and welcome to this very special episode of NHM Live. I'm Alison, I'll be your host, and tonight we'll be revealing the winners of this year's prestigious Wildlife Photographer of the Year Awards. Wildlife Photographer of the Year is the Natural History Museum's annual showcase of the world's best nature photography and wildlife photojournalism. Our panel of expert judges have whittled down more than 45,000 different entries to just 100 finalists. Now, these 100 images form the basis of a major new exhibition that's opening here at the museum on the 19th of October. Now, our finalists are all gathered in Hintze Hall, our main hall, and the awards are being announced tonight. Now, we've had 10 or so awards already announced, but the grand title winners are still to be awarded, and we'll be doing that live, so do stay tuned. Before we do though, we're going to take a look at some of the finalists and winning entries this year, and to help me, I'm delighted to be joined by Richard Peters.
Hello, thank you very, very much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming down today. Now, you've got some experience of wildlife photography, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been fortunate enough to have 2 pictures awarded so far. So yeah, it's a big night, and I know how the people down there are feeling, for sure.
Fantastic. Now you'll be using your expertise to help me dissect some of this year's finalists, which is going to be fantastic. Now remember, we are live, so if you do have any questions or comments for Richard, do post those in and we'll get through as many as we can. If you want to say hello and tell us where you're watching from as well, that would be great. We would love to hear from you. Now, Richard, I've taken you away from the ceremony floor, haven't I? You've been out there. What's the atmosphere like?
Amazing. There's so many people down there tonight. It's just everyone is buzzing. There's just it's amazing. There's so many big names down there. Yeah, it's an amazing place to be tonight. It's the best place in London to be tonight.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you're here. Sorry, I feel a bit guilty now for dragging you away.
You did drag me away from as the main came out, the main for dinner, but that's fine. Don't worry, that's fine.
We'll get you something later, I promise. Now, Richard, you've been in their shoes before in previous years, haven't you? How would the finalists be feeling at the moment?
It's kind of a strange feeling because so if you're a category winner, it doesn't really, for me, it didn't hit me that I was a category winner until the actual evening, and then you suddenly think, wow, this is actually a big deal. So they're going to be nervous for sure. They're going to be nervous, yeah.
Well, exciting though, I can imagine.
Oh, yeah, the most exciting thing you can imagine, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of jealous. I'm kind of jealous that they're down there, yeah.
Oh, you didn't enter this year?
I did, but I'd rather be here with you.
Of course. Now we're going to take a look at some of the finalists and some of the winning images as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, perhaps if we start with the young photographer categories.
Yep.
There have been some amazing entries. There always are every year, and it's always nice to see the kind of upcoming talent, the young talent.
Yeah, I mean, they're incredible. I really wish I got into wildlife photography when I was younger, because I mean, they've got, you know, to get into it when you're 10 years old and to get that passion from that young age, it's amazing. They're going to be incredible photographers. You know, as they develop and mature, they're going to be people to watch out for sure. Yeah,
definitely. And we've got some great examples. If we start with the 11 to 14 category, there was one image that particularly caught your eye, wasn't there? And it was Carlos Perez Naval.
Yeah, absolutely.
His image, Small World. So let's take a look at that image.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful one. So it's quite stunning. It's actually a limestone wall, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very graphic. The colours are amazing, the texture's amazing, the composition's perfect. It's just like, as soon as I saw it, I was just like, wow, this is a good picture. This is the sort of picture I would have on my wall at home, and that's the ultimate compliment for a photo. Is if you'd have it on your wall at home, it's a good picture. I mean, it's. I wish it was mine.
And those tree formations we see there, they're actually limestone crystals, aren't they?
Yeah, and it just really, like you say, they look like trees. And so at first glance, it's one of those pictures you have to look at and kind of analyse to work out what's going on. And that is also what makes it a good picture, because you don't know immediately what's happening until you read the caption. And then you realise, and so that is always a key ingredient to a good picture.
Definitely, definitely. This was taken at a wall in his hometown, one that he'd passed by many times before, had noticed insects crawling along it, and I think the idea sprung into his mind. But he says he was aiming to show the beauty of the small and commonplace things that we might necessarily pass by and not give a second thought to. But he's definitely captured that, hasn't he?
I mean, and that's the thing, is it's a great example of wildlife being everywhere. And you know, think how many people would have walked past that wall and not even given it a second glance. So it's a brilliant example that you don't have to travel the world. You know, you can just just pop your head out the door and see what's going on. If you've got a macro lens, you know, there'll be stuff going on that you have no idea about. So it's a brilliant example of that. Brilliant.
And Carlos has had a good year this year, hasn't he? Because he's actually won this category as well, of 11 to 14, with another beautiful image called Duck of Dreams. So he's one to watch, isn't he?
Yeah, he's doing all right. Yeah, he's doing all right. Yeah.
Now there's a lot of beauty. There's a lot of artistry in Carlos's images, isn't there?
Yeah, he's got a good eye. You can see, like, you can tell with some people just have the eye, and you can just really see just by looking at their photos. They know what they're looking for. When they look through the viewfinder, they know what they're looking out to kind of capture, and he has that for sure. Yeah.
Now there was another image in our young category that also caught your eye. This one was also shows great artistry. So it's in the 15 to 17-year-old category. It's called Reflective Sunset, and the photographer Akshay here, he's done something quite clever, hasn't he? How did he achieve this shot?
Yeah, so it's a double exposure in camera, so which is actually quite a hard technique to pull off, because the two pictures that you're going to overlay have to kind of really fit well together, and so it's not the easiest thing to achieve. And this is an excellent example of it. In fact, when I first just saw the picture, I didn't realise it was a double exposure. I kind of thought it was a reflection of a sunset or something. But when you realise how he's achieved it, it's just a whole another level of creativity. It's brilliant. I love it. Yeah.
So quite impressed with the young entries this year.
Yeah, I kind of am.
Yeah, they show a great deal of sort of creative vision, don't
they?
And
that's the good thing as well, is creativity. You know, seeing that in young people is amazing, because anyone can pick up a camera and just go and take a picture of something, but to kind of think about how can I make the normal look different, or how can I change this scene and do that in a creative way, that's the trick, and they are really stepping up, the youngsters.
It's a craft, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And how important is actually winning an award at Wildlife Photographer of the Year?
I mean, it's the biggest competition of its type in the world, so any kind of association to it is good, but to win a category, you know, to have any award in it is great. To win a category is phenomenal, but just the association to it, it really boosts your name, and it gets your name out there because so many people see it as it travels the world. It's the competition to be in, for sure.
And so great for the young photographers to be taking part and doing such high quality work as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're going to go on to do great things, for sure.
Now, from our young photographers, there was we're jumping to the other end of the spectrum. There was a brand new award announced this year, wasn't there? The Lifetime Achievement Award. And a very deserving photographer won this one. So let's take a little look at some of his images. Oh, we don't have that film just yet, I don't think, but it's Franz Lanting, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
So
Yeah.
You're familiar with his work, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the greatest photographers of all time, really. There's so many iconic images, you know, they're just breathtaking. You know, every picture that he produces seems to be preserved, yeah.
And something to aspire to as well, Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm not quite old enough for that yet myself, personally. But yeah, for these youngsters, you know, that's, you know, start young, and then, you know, that's where you end up.
That's where you could end up.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a look at some more of the images that you chose. So there were quite a few that caught your eye. Not all of them winners, but all of them finalists, and some great images. So we've got a really lovely, quite emotive image in the animals in our environment category. Sergei Gorshkov and his image, a bear on the edge.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at this. So what was it about this image that kind of spoke to you most?
It's just the scale of the scene. So a picture like this, when you capture it in camera and you look at it on the back of your screen, I mean, that polar bear is tiny in the frame, and a picture like this on the back of your camera screen doesn't necessarily work because everything's so small. So to kind of have the foresight to think this will look good when you see it big, that's the trick. And it's just the scale of the scene is just phenomenal thing. And the bear is so small in the frame, and yet it's the most powerful part of the image. It's incredible. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
And the framing is quite interesting, isn't it? I mean, how would it change the image if you change the position of the bear in the photo?
It balances perfectly, and I mean, the bear is in the perfect position. You know, it's got space to walk into the frame, and also, like, you've got this kind of white band at the top, and then you've got the kind of the face of the ice as a thick band, and then that water as a third band at the bottom that kind of balances with the top. So, and then this polar bear in the perfect position in the frame. So everything just comes together beautifully.
And of course, it does tell quite an emotive story, doesn't it? So this is in the high Arctic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, we all know what's going on with polar bears and the trouble they're in, and so, you know, an image that kind of highlights that is only a good thing as well.
Absolutely, yeah. and a beautiful one as well. Now there is one category you're particularly familiar with, the urban category. So you won in 2016, was that right?
2015,
2015.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm getting on a bit now. Yeah, 2015.
So let's take a look at your winning image. This was the fox, wasn't it?
Yeah, Shadow Walker.
In shadow, the
yeah,
Shadow Walker.
That's right.
Absolutely stunning image. How did you manage to capture it?
Well, it took 6 months of kind of attempting to get it. It was a hard shot to take. I mean, I was asleep when this picture was taken, so it's in some ways...
Isn't that cheating?
Well, in some ways it's the hardest picture I've ever taken, in some ways the easiest because I was asleep. But, you know, there were so many elements that had to come together. You know, a clear kind of moonless night, so the stars would show up. The fox had to be in the right position. You know, luckily one of my neighbours had a light on in their window, which I didn't plan, which kind of ties the image together. So many elements had to fit together, and you know, that's why it took so long to get it, really. But yeah, love it.
It's a great image. It's a firm favourite at the Natural History Museum and amongst my colleagues. Everyone says they love this one.
Yeah. Good.
What do you think it takes to win the urban category?
I mean, it's all about. I mean, the thing with the urban category is obviously the subject is the most important part of the picture, but it's almost split 50-50 with the surroundings because, you know, you have to show the urban environment, and so the subject is key, but really the surroundings are also key. They're as big a character as the subject, so it's bringing those two elements together in an interesting way.
And there were a couple of urban category finalists that caught your eye. So there was one in particular, this one I absolutely love. So this is called City Fisher by Felix Heinzenberg. So if we take a look at this one, I love the colours in this one. Yeah,
I mean, kingfisher shots are, you know, every subject has been photographed a million times.
Yeah.
Kingfishers, Typically it's just a kingfisher on a perch, it's big in the frame, but this has just got so much going on. There's texture, there's paint on the wall, there's graffiti on the wall, the subject is tiny in the frame but it's in the perfect position. It's phenomenal. It's the best kingfisher shot I've ever seen, for sure. Easily, hands down, easily. Everything is perfect. It's a really good shot, and you've got the water coming over the edge there. Adds more interest. It's just excellent. I love it.
And it's actually a sewage outlet pipe, isn't it? Which wouldn't be many people's first choice for a stunning image.
Exactly, but again shows you that it doesn't matter where you're taking these pictures. You know, as long as you look at it in the right way, you can take something unique, and you don't have to be on a beach or under nice sun. You can be basically a sewage outlet, and you can still get a good picture. It's all about just having that kind of thought process to see it in a different way.
As a photographer, do you always sort of have one eye out for a good image wherever you are?
I kind of do. Yeah, I think most photographers do. I mean, even if you're walking down the street and you see the light reflecting off something in a certain way, you're like, oh, that looks kind of interesting, and even that can inspire you the next time you're out in the field taking photos.
Is it that photographic eye? Is that something you can develop over time?
I mean, I think it is. I think some people have it built in, and they can just do it. And I think other people, you kind of nurture it. So I think it's something you can develop over time. And with photography, you're always learning new things, and you're seeing things in a new way, and you mature. So it's definitely something you can build on. Yeah.
Now there was a second image in the urban category. This one is by Adrian Bliss. It's called School Visit. So let's take a look. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great example of the surroundings are, as much a part of the picture as the fox, really. The textures are amazing, the light is amazing. It's got a really nice kind of colour palette to it. It's beautiful, and it tells a good story. So it's a stunning image. It really is.
Yeah, it's sort of quite bleak in many ways, but
yeah, but then that's part of the story to it, isn't it? Yeah. So it just that kind of, if that was like a nice clean floor and the walls maybe not quite so dirty, and it wouldn't have the same feel to it. It kind of needs that to give it that extra dimension.
Yeah, we should say this is images of a school in Ukraine that was abandoned after the Chernobyl explosion. We see that nature is kind of making a comeback.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's bleak, but it's potentially hopeful.
Yeah, exactly. So it's bleak in a positive way. So it's showing that Mother Nature is reclaiming what was kind of ruined, and that's a good story to tell.
It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Now let's move on to some of the winning categories. Now there was one image in particular I think that caught your eye. It was the black and white winner, Jan van der Greef. This image is called The Vision. It is fantastic, isn't it? What about this image really captured your imagination?
It's just so different, and because it's black and white, if it was in colour, it wouldn't work. It needed to be in black and white, and it's just unlike any other image that I think I've seen entered. It's just amazing. I love it. As soon as I saw it, it kind of really stood out as one of the main ones that kind of really grabbed my attention. Yeah, it wouldn't work in colour at all. So it was a really good kind of foresight to see the idea to convert it to black and white.
Now, I think it took Jan quite some time to get this shot, to get the shot right. A lot of waiting patiently, which is obviously
you need a lot of patience.
The craft.
You have to be a wildlife photographer. You have to have patience. If you don't have patience, you're just never going to get it, because it can be boring a lot of the time. You're waiting for something to happen. Sometimes a lot of the time it doesn't happen. So it's one of those things where, and this is a great example, that if you just put the time in and you can see the potential for a photo, and you wait for it and you wait for it and you wait for it, if you're rewarded, you get something like this. So it's worth the effort.
Very much worth the effort. It's an absolutely amazing shot. This is again, this is a favourite of our team here at the museum. And the judges called this. They said this image showed craft and imagination, which is absolutely true.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, it really. It's. I love it. It's brilliant.
Would you say this is your favourite? Do you think?
I think it is. I think it's my favourite. Yeah, this year it's my favourite, because it's so unique. It's so different, and that's what I like about it. And you can't see the whole subject as well, and that's something that's close to my heart. So so it's got that going for it as well.
Yeah, it's one of those images you have to look at it and work out what's going on and read the caption as well.
Exactly. Which makes for a good photo. If you can't tell what's going on straight away, then to me, the more you have to look at it to work it out, the better the image is, I think. Yeah.
So let's move on to another of our winners, this time in the Creative Visions category. So this is Cristobal Serrano, and his image is the ice pool. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's so graphic. It's such kind of, it's so simple, but the shapes and the colours, they go together so well. It's just a really nice, strong, bold graphic image, and that's what I like about it. It just really sort of grabs your attention because it's so simple and effective.
And this was actually achieved with a drone, I believe, which I think might be a first for the competition.
Yeah,
at least
right,
having a winning entry taken by drone. A good development, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with drones is you have to make sure you use them responsibly, which obviously has been done here. So that's the key thing when you're using anything that could potentially aggravate wildlife. You want to make sure you're doing it responsibly. But if you do that, you end up with something like this, which is it's a special photo. It just stands out because it's so simple, and a simple photo is often quite difficult to take. The more simple something looks, often the harder it was to capture, and I'm sure flying a drone over this area wasn't the easiest thing to do. So yeah, it's a brilliant photo.
It is. It's lovely. The judges called this new and fresh, and I think many of them commented that it was. They loved that it was open to interpretation. People see different things.
Yeah, the shapes in it. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so you've got a heart.
Yeah, there's a heart in there. There's a bit of a heart and a beak there, and so you can kind of make of it what you will, which is really nice.
Yeah. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
So some very, very stunning images in the Creative Visions. There was one additional image that you picked out that also in Creative Visions category called the Upside Down Flamingos by Paul Mackenzie. If we can take a look at that image. This is quite interesting, isn't it? What's he done here? How's he achieved this?
Yeah, so this is a technique that you see in quite a few photos these days, and it's to turn the camera upside down, and so you're photographing a reflection. But why it works so well here for me is the kind of the texture in the flamingo. So the feet look brilliant, like there's all that nice texture going on, and the shapes of the heads and the necks. It just works really, really well. So it's a technique that is sometimes hard to pull off, and a lot of the time it doesn't quite work, but when it works really well, it's really good. And this is a really good example of where it works perfectly. And again, it just comes down to all those textures. They're brilliant. They're really, really cool.
And the photographer said he's keen on taking images that challenge initial perceptions. Is that something you're quite keen on in photography?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and that's the thing to a good picture is, if you're just taking the same picture as everyone else and you're seeing things the same way as everyone else, then your pictures are going to be like everyone else's. So there has to be something about them that is different or unique or unusual to stand out, because it's hard to stand out these days. And again, it's about, you see a scene like this, the obvious shot to take would be just the typical right way up and just maybe get the reflection at the bottom. So to see it and think, actually, it's going to work better upside down, that's not always something that people would do. So it's very well thought out, yeah.
Do you think it gets harder and harder every year to do something different, to show something novel?
Yeah, I mean, everything's been photographed, virtually everything's been photographed a million times, and so to capture a subject in a way that stands out from all those other pictures, that's a real challenge. It really is, yeah.
Any tips for standing out from the crowd?
Well, I can't give my secrets away. I mean, it's all about, really, for me, it's about looking at your surroundings, looking at the subject, looking at the light, looking at your position relative to the subject. What can you do with your camera settings? Can you slow your shutter speed down? Can you do unusual composition? Just experiment and see what happens, because sometimes it's the experiment that goes wrong but leads you to the next thing that leads you to the next thing, and then you get the shot that you didn't originally plan on. So experimentation. Yeah.
And as photographers entering the competition, are you aware of what the judges are looking for? Do you have a really good idea of what they might go for? I mean,
I think it's quite hard to say, because every judge is different. You don't know what pictures yours are being compared against, and so I mean, it has to stand out, obviously. But I mean, I wish I knew, because I'd be downstairs getting on the ward instead of sitting up here. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think it's hard to pinpoint, but it has to be something that just stands out from the crowd. So it has to be unique in some way. That's what they're looking for, is uniqueness, because they see 100 puffin pictures. One of them has to stand out from the rest. So you know, it's tricky. It's tricky.
And they have a very difficult job, 45,000 entries.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. So a difficult job. Now, earlier this week, we did actually get to speak to one of our judges. So let's hear from him now.
The judging process for me is, if you can imagine, you're in a room with some of the world's greatest wildlife photographers, some of the greatest editors in the world, and you're looking at some of the most beautiful wildlife photography that's been produced in the last couple of years. It's both a beautiful and somewhat intense experience because you realize just how special that moment is. As a member of the jury, I find myself sort of pinching myself at the same time, realizing, wow, I've really got to do my best to be on point here. I've really got to do my best to make really smart decisions, because the images that we choose are going to have an impact on thousands of photographers. That's not something you do every single day of your life. So for me, it's quite a unique and amazing experience.
So quite a tricky job. Is it a job you'd ever fancy yourself, judging wildlife photographer of the year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would be really interesting, actually, just to see. I mean, I've judged other competitions before, and so to see it from the other perspective and the types of pictures that are entered would be really interesting. But for this competition being so big, I mean, the standard's going to be, you know, way up there. So it's an experience I'd like to do one day. Yeah, that'd be nice.
It must be quite subjective as well. I bet they have quite a lot of arguments.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, is you've got the opinions of, you know, 5, 6, 7 people, and they could all have a different opinion, and it is subjective. You know, wildlife, well, any photography is subjective. So you know, it must be tricky. It must be tricky. Yeah.
Well, we'll put your name down
for
for future years. So let's get back to see some more images. So there are a few more you're quite interested in looking at. If we take a look, there's one really beautiful image. It's by Justin Gilligan. It's in our Behaviour Invertebrates category. It's called Dinner for Two. So let's take a look at this. This is beautiful, isn't it? The light here is stunning.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what makes it for me is the light. You've got, you know, two dark subjects with a very colourful blue, you know, there's a subject, and it's a tough shot underwater. I can't swim, so you know, I'm sure underwater photography is very difficult. But you know, you can see from the water's not clear. You know, it's obviously a very dark environment, and so to photograph, you know, you need to use lighting, and that's key for, you know, for underwater photography. And this is a brilliant example. You know, dark setting, dark subjects, a splash of colour there as well, yeah, and it's all come together beautifully. It's really nice, and the shapes as well. The shapes are just phenomenal.
They're stunning, aren't they? And this is actually an example of Justin spotting an opportunity and jumping on it. These were actually trapped in a rock pool.
Yeah.
He spotted it, ran off, grabbed his kit, came back, used an underwater torch underneath to light it from below, and that's the effect. It's stunning, isn't it?
Yeah, so you've got that nice kind of shaft of light, you know, which has lit up the underneath, and it just works beautifully. So it's all about, you know, when you're photographing in kind of darker environments, or, you know, with the dark surface behind, it's all about lighting to make your subject stand out, and this has been, you know, very, very cleverly put together.
Is that one of your most important tools, do you think, in good nature photography, that lighting?
Light for me, that's what I'm all about. Lighting is key. With good light, you can make a common subject look good, and bad light can make a good subject look bad. So lighting is, key.
So another beautiful image. Now there is another gorgeous example of use of light. It's in our underwater category, and the one that you looked at was called Night Snack. It's by Auden Rickardson. This is stunning, isn't it? The light here.
I mean, that's this. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's kind of almost ethereal. That light coming through the water is just, I love it. It's really good. It's beautiful.
There was a lot of planning that went into this shot. You have to really know your subject well quite often, don't you? Yeah,
I mean, especially for something like this, you really have to know what you're looking for, and that is sometimes half the battle with wildlife photography. If you know what your subject's going to do, or the time of year it's going to do it, you know, for behaviour and that kind of thing, or where it's going to be, that's half the battle. you know, you can just turn up and hope for the best, and sometimes it works. But the more you know the subject, you can plan your shots in advance. And so, you know, as this is a great example of.
This is the result. Absolutely
really nice. Yeah,
stunning.
really nice.
Now, when you're entering the competition, how do you choose which images you're going to submit? Is that quite tricky?
Yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah, I mean, for me personally, as I take pictures through the year, I kind of highlight one or two occasionally as I take them, and I think, oh, this one maybe has potential. And at the end of the year, I kind of collate them all together and look at them all and work out what I might enter and what I might not. But it's a hard thing because, again, it's subjective, and sometimes you put in a photo that might be like you're considered as a wild card, and that's the one that actually grabs attention, which is what happened to me the first time. I was fortunate to be in the competition. It was a bit of a wild card, and you know, it paid off. So it's hard.
Was this the jumping fox
Yeah,
image?
that's right. Yeah,
yeah. I think we've got this image of yours.
Okay.
It's fantastic. It's full of humour, but you'd initially written this one off, hadn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I nearly deleted it in the back of the camera when I took it, because I had the whole sequence of it jumping, and the image I thought was the best one was soft, and so I nearly deleted them because I thought I've missed the opportunity. I was a bit annoyed with myself, but I thought, no, you know, don't be silly, keep them, because it was cool to see it, you know, see this fox jump. And I literally went back to them a year later and looked at them again, a whole year later, and then realised that this image actually was kind of quite cool. And I entered it kind of as one of my last entries of that year, you know, just a space filler almost, which sounds ridiculous to say. And it was the one that got picked. So, yeah, you know.
Yeah. So it just goes to show, guys, take a second look at your images.
Yeah, and it's very important to go back to your pictures after the event, because at the time you've seen something, your emotions are quite high and you think, wow, I've seen this amazing thing, and your pictures might not reflect what you're feeling. When you go back to them 2 months later, 3 months later, when your emotions have removed from the situation, you realise your pictures are usually, you know, better than you thought. So that's a good tip. Go back to your pictures months later. Yeah.
Excellent. Good to have you here. Now, there are just a couple more images that caught your eye, so we'll just quickly go through those. So Mark Graff had an amazing image in animals in their environments called Bear Territory.
Yeah.
Now, are you familiar with the spot this was taken?
Yeah, so I know it's in Slovenia, the forest in Slovenia, so which I've been to, and so I know how tricky this picture was to take, because he used camera traps, and it's a project he's been working on for a very long time, and he's put an awful lot of work into it. So I know how hard this picture was for him to take, and it's beautiful. I mean, it works so well because you've got the bear, you've got the forest, but most importantly for me, you've got the clearing, so you can see the mountains behind. So you've got the scale of the environment, and that really is what finishes the picture off for me.
It is absolutely stunning. Now, this reportedly took him 14 months to get this particular shot. So
yeah, so a lot of work. Yeah, a lot of work, and you know, and that's what's so rewarding is when you've got a picture in mind, and it takes a long time to get it. When you get it, you know, it's the best feeling in the world. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, he used a camera trap, which I know some people think is cheating. What's your opinion of that?
I used to think it was cheating until I tried to do it, and then I realised it's harder than having the camera in your hand, because when you have the camera in your hand, you can react to what's happening. You can change your camera settings, so it's almost cheating to have the camera with you, because you can react to everything. When you're using a camera trap, you have to pre-visualize everything and hope the subject turns up at the right time when the light is right, so that it suits your camera settings, that it's in the right position, that it comes from the right direction. I mean, there are so many things that can go wrong, that with camera trapping, you know, you could take 500 pictures to get one good one, and those 500 could be over months and months. So it's not easy at all. It's not easy.
What role does luck play in wildlife photography?
I mean,
a big one sometimes
quite a lot. You know, my leaping fox image, for example, you know, there's a lot of luck involved with that. I'd love to say, oh, it was all in my head and that's what I wanted to achieve. Not at all. It was luck, that I was in the right place at the right time, and sometimes that's just the way it goes. You know, you can pre-plan lots of shots, and you can visualize what you want to achieve and achieve it, but sometimes it's luck, and you're just in the right place at the right time, or the subject does something unexpected and cooperates in a way that you hadn't planned. So sometimes it plays a role, yeah. Yeah.
Now, there's just a couple more. There's a fantastic image from Sue Forbes in our behaviour birds category called Flight. So what made you choose this one? I think I know, but
With just the difficulty in capturing it. It's just, you know, that's not an easy thing. I've never tried to capture this behaviour, but that's not an easy thing to capture. I can see it's not. And so, you know, being there, seeing it, reacting quick enough to capture it, you know, framing it so nicely, that is a hard shot to take. It's a very hard shot to take.
Fast reactions.
Very fast reactions. Yeah, very fast reactions. Because, you know, when you're looking through a lens as well, you know, even just finding it in the viewfinder could be tricky, because especially if you're shooting with a longer lens, you can see the subject and you pick your camera up, but then you can't necessarily find the subject in the viewfinder straight away. So, you know, that's hard as well. So yeah, this is very well caught, very well caught.
Again, a case of knowing your subject and persevering.
Exactly. Yeah. If you know that you're in that environment and this is happening, you just sit there and you wait and you focus and you concentrate and just, you know, don't let anything distract you. And then when it happens, you can quickly react. And yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Really, really good.
And another really great example of a good spot and a nice reaction is our behaviour invertebrates category, Christian Wapple and his image Trailblazer. I do like this one. This is of a firefly larva, apparently.
Yeah. It's just the thing that makes it is just that line of yellow. You know, against those muted colours, it's just really, really cool. You know, there's no other way to say it. It's a really cool image. It's just all about that line of colour. And yeah, the textures are really nice, and it's not a subject. Again, it's not a subject that most people will photograph, and that's what makes it so cool. It's something that most people probably wouldn't even notice. They just carry on walking, or, you know, it's something small. It's on the ground, but it's got this amazing colour, and that's what makes it so special. So it's all about seeing something that most people don't.
And what's more impressive is when you find out that this was taken about 1 o'clock in the morning in pretty much total darkness.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy to photograph in total darkness. So, you know, obviously, again, it's all about kind of knowing how to get the shot you want. And so the kind of obvious thing would be to photograph your subject when the light's good. Go and find it when the light's good. But to do it in darkness, so you've obviously got the forethought to show this, you know, this beautiful colour. You know, that's where you go from being just a casual photographer to someone who's thinking about what they're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Unsociable hours.
Very
lots
unsociable
of
hours.
waiting around.
Yeah, very unsociable hours. But again, when it pays off, you know, it's all worth it.
Definitely worth it with an image like that.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Now, we are soon to be announcing the overall winners, and we will be going live to the ceremony floor for that. Before we do, though, just to whet your appetite, we do have some lovely examples of previous winners. So let's take a look at those first of all. Beautiful images there.
Absolutely.
All quite different, but all definitely winners. What did you think of last year's winner, Brent Sturton's?
Yeah, I mean, every year the winner it's a great image. I mean, you know, year after year, the winning images are deserved winners, absolutely. And you know, what else can you say? Just it's a beautiful image. It really is. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad it won. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a really strong conservation message as well, which many of our images in wildlife photographer, they do have that. It's a really important message behind a lot of the images.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's because you know, it's such a big platform. You know, it's a competition that's known around the world, and so to be able to spread the word on conservation issues is really important. So you know, it's great that the images that are just creative and just kind of fun are in there, but you know, you do need to tell stories as well, and so it's really important.
Yeah. Before we go live to the ceremony, there's just one more image we can squeeze in very quickly.
Yep.
This is from Jasper Durst, one of our judges in previous years, his photojournalist story. There was several images in this, but you chose this particular image of Bob the flamingo.
Yeah,
why
Bob,
this image?
Yeah, Bob's great. Yeah, I mean, Jasper's been working on this really cool project, and I've seen quite a few pictures of Bob, but this one's just really cool, and I just like, you know, it's a flamingo in a kitchen. The cat looking at cat's like, why is there a flamingo in the kitchen? You know, it's brilliant. It's got loads going on. You know, you've got all this foreground information as well. You know, you've got these kind of shelves in the foreground that kind of lead you into the picture. There's a flamingo in the kitchen. I mean, you know,
it's just a bizarre domestic scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we better stop waffling,
Yep.
because I believe they are ready to announce the grand title winner. So we'll head over to the ceremony floor now and hear from Liz Bonnen.
Awesome.
So it's the young winner first of all, I believe.
Wings rapidly to warn him off. Javier was familiar with ants tending to tree hopper nymphs, but he had never before seen a bee exhibiting this symbiotic behavior. As well as buzzing aggressively with their wings, the bees flew defensively over their charges. In return for their diligence, they were treated to the nutritious drops of honeydew. Javier's patience was rewarded in this face-off. A bee with wings abuzz, painting rainbows in their wake, and the nymphs safely lined up underneath. What a glorious photograph to finish on this. And there we have it, a sensational lineup of the very best of this year's talent. But who will be this year's Young Wildlife Photographer of the Year and Wildlife Photographer of the Year? From over 45,000 entries, just 2 of them have been selected as grand title winners. So first, let's reveal the Young Wildlife Photographer of the Year. The 3 nominees are South Africa's Sky Meeker with Lounging Leopard, Carlos Perez Naval from Spain with his image Duck of Dreams, and Pipe Owls by Urshdeep Singh from India. To announce the winner, please would you welcome to the stage wildlife photojournalist, documentary filmmaker, and wildlife photographer of the year judge, Sandesh Kadur.
Thank you, Liz. A highly anticipated moment. I can't wait to open the envelope myself. This is an image that stays with you for a very long time. And the winner of the Young Wildlife Photographer of the Year Award for 2018, Sky Maker.
First off, I'd just like to congratulate all the photographers here tonight. All your pictures from seeing them on the display board have been outstanding. This picture means a lot to me. I've been taking photographs since I was 7 years old, and as soon as I started taking photography seriously, we went to a place called Mashatu where I took this picture, and I've been following this leopard since it was a cub, or just older than a cub, and its name's Lumpy. And the reason it got its name is from falling out of a tree as a youngster. It broke its hind leg, so whenever it kills something, it can't drag it up a tree, and struggles to go up to the high branches, so it's always in danger. And what makes it really special for me is just from following it since I was a youngster, and from my growth as a photographer, I've got to see this leopard grow, and it's just recently had its first cub, so it's really special for me, and I'd like to say thank you for the award, and thank you very much.
Congratulations. And now for the highest accolade in nature photography, the Wildlife Photographer of the Year 2018. Let's remind ourselves of our 16 nominees. The Golden Couple by Marcel van Oosten from the Netherlands. Bed of Seals by Cristobal Serrano of Spain. USA's David Herasimchuk with Hellbent. The Mud Rolling Mud Dauber by Georgina Statler of Australia. Spain's Ricardo Núñez Montero with Kuhirwa Mourns Her Baby. South Africa's Thomas Pashak with Bloodthirsty. The Desert Relic by Jen Guyton from Germany. USA's Michael Patrick O'Neill with Night Flight. Crossing Paths by Marco Colombo of Italy. Spain's Orlando Fernandez Miranda with Windsweep. The Vision by Jan van der Greff of the Netherlands. Spain's Cristobal Serrano for The Ice Pool. The Sad Clown by Juan de la Maya of Spain. Mexico's Alejandro Prieto with Signature Tree. Dream Jewel by Michel Doutremont of Belgium. And Be On Guard by Javier Aznar González de Rueda of Spain. Which is your favorite? To reveal our winner, please would you welcome to the stage editor, writer, and the Wildlife Photographer of the Year chair of the jury, Roz Kidman-Cox.
Well, to choose just one picture truly is an onerous task, but there was one that stayed with us all the way through the judging, one that shone out because of the light, the composition, and the sheer beauty of the subjects. And the Wildlife Photographer of the Year 2018 is Marcel van Oosten.
Wow. Totally didn't expect this to happen, so I'm a bit lost for words, actually. Thank you very much. I really don't know what to say. It's a real honor. Wow. Thank you.
Well, there we have it, Richard. Two very well-deserving winners. Massive congratulations to both Sky and to Marcel.
Yeah.
What do you think? Did the judges make the right decisions?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It's always subjective, but yeah, I mean, they're great photos. They're great photos, and again, you know, they'll now go down in history as winners of the competition, and they deserve it. Absolutely.
Marcel's image is beautiful, isn't it? The colours here are amazing.
The colours and the light are incredible. They really are. Yeah, it's a beautiful picture, beautiful.
And it took quite some effort to actually achieve this shot as well. Obviously, he was looking not to disturb the animals. They're very rare, they're difficult to find. They're only found in one small area in China. So we had to track them for quite some time.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, actually getting the lighting and the competition, the framing correct.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
what a shot.
Yeah. I mean, it would be a beautiful shot if it was a subject that was easy to photograph.
Yeah.
But for something that's so hard to photograph and to do it so well, you know, it's a deserved winner.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing,
yeah.
isn't it? And again, these are rare creatures. Their habitat is threatened. So again, we have that kind of strong sort of conservation message come through, which I believe Marcel is very important to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you know, the sad reality is that kind of, you know, animals being endangered and the picture telling a story, that's going to become more and more common as years go by, which is the sad thing about it. But, you know, getting a platform like this to help tell that story, like we were saying earlier, is so important. So yeah, brilliant photo.
Yep. Marcel's hope is that this image will raise the profile of this animal.
And it will.
Most people, you know, may not have even heard of this creature, certainly not seen it. So,
yeah, and it's such a beautiful looking, you know, it's such a beautiful animal. I mean, the colours on it are incredible, and so, you know, you'll have people react to it, and they'll be like, "Can that even be real? You know, I must know more about this." And then they'll look it up, and then hopefully they'll find out, you know, the trouble they're in. So yeah, it's an important image.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah,
let's hope
yeah.
so. And Sky's image as well, the leopard, another stunning one. He did fantastically to capture that shot, didn't he? Just at the moment that the leopard opened his eyes, apparently, her eyes, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I've photographed leopards in trees sleeping, and it's a nightmare because when they're sleeping, they occasionally they'll open their eye for a second and then they'll close them again, or they'll look around. And so I know how frustrating it can be when everything is perfect, but the leopard's got its eyes closed. So, you know, this is great that the light has hit the face beautifully, so it's well lit. The out of focus kind of highlights of the light coming through the leaves in the background is really nice. And then to get that eye contact just finishes it off. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, really nice.
Do you think we'll see more from Sky in the future?
I'd be surprised if we don't. Yeah, I'm sure we will. Yeah, and he lives in a great place as well, so he's got a ton of wildlife on his doorstep. So yeah, we'll see more from him. Absolutely.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Two beautiful images, two very, very well-deserving winners.
I think so. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And it was a strong field this year as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's some really good pictures this year. I mean, every year there's tons of good pictures every year, and I think it's only getting harder to be one of the selected 100 or so, because the standard's always going up. You know, people are discovering new techniques on familiar subjects, which helps. So it's just getting harder and harder to be in it, and as a result, the pictures that are in it are just getting better and better and better. Which is annoying because, what's going on? I want to be in it.
You've got more and more to compete with every year.
I need the hat trick. But but seriously, it's an amazing competition, and it's just to be part of it in any way, shape, or form is a real privilege. It really is.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And of course the exhibition does open here at the museum on the 19th, so
go check it out.
You'll be coming down?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing, is you have to see these pictures the way they're shown at the exhibition is just phenomenal. It's the best way to see them. They look great in the book, but when you see them backlit in a dark room, they just come alive. You have to see them at the exhibition to see them properly. You really do.
We look forward to that.
Yeah.
And of course, next year's competition does open. The call for entries opens on Monday, the 22nd of October. So that's the date for your diary.
It's already in. It's already in. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, it's I have photographers who say to me like, oh, I don't feel like I'm ready to enter it yet, and it's you just have to enter because you just never know what the judges are looking for or what pictures they're going to be comparing to. So it's just you just enter it, and it's good to get the experience of entering as well because you just don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, get entering, absolutely. Yeah.
That's sound advice.
Yeah, definitely.
Now I do believe we can go over to the ceremony floor because I think we can speak to the winner.
Awesome.
9, 10. Thank you. I'm shocked, actually. Yeah, completely shocked and flabbergasted and everything. I didn't expect this to happen at all. Yeah, this is stuff you dream about, and it's already such an honor to be here and to be amongst all these good photographers, many of whom I totally admire. So to be standing here, even just being nominated, is already something, and then to win a category is like even bigger, and this is just out of this world.
A bit about the image. What's the story behind the picture, and what were you aiming for in terms of composition?
So what you see in the image are two golden snub-nosed monkeys, and I photographed those in the Qingling Mountains in the southwestern part of China. It's very steep, dense forest areas where they, and I followed them for a couple of days, and I used local researchers to get close to the troop and to be able to follow them from a short distance to enable me to shoot with a wide-angle lens and use my own flashlight to illuminate the scene.
So these golden snub-nosed monkeys, they are endangered, and they're only found in quite a specific part of China. That conservation message, is that something you really wanted to come across with this image?
Yeah, so obviously a lot of people are aware that there's a lot of species that are under threat, but most people only know about like rhinos and tigers and polar bears because they are the charismatic megafauna. But it's animals like these that are also under threat, but most people actually don't even know that they exist. And so I think it's important that also these kind of species, there's only like 3,500 of these animals left. And it's important that people know that these animals exist, because if people don't know, then it's very unlikely that they're going to be protected.
It's a really important message to communicate. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic, great to hear from Marcel there.
Yeah.
And again, massive congratulations, a very well-deserved winner. Unfortunately, that is all we've got time for tonight. Richard, thank you so much for joining us tonight,
you're very
for
welcome.
your helpful insights. It's been fantastic
yeah, it's
to
been
talk
good.
to you.
Yeah, it's been good fun.
Come back next year.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And thank you to our viewers at home for watching. We hope that you've enjoyed our ceremony, and if you did, please do join us again, because tomorrow we'll be speaking to some more photographers. At 5:30 we've got another very special episode of NHM Live, where we'll be speaking to Emily Garthwaite, a photographer, and also two of this year's judges, Ian Owens and Sandesh. So tune in for that. But thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.